Part 1. Have you ever felt trapped in a situation where no matter how hard you try, nothing changes? Perhaps you faced setbacks, disappointment, or a sense of being stuck in your life. It's as though no matter how much you exert your will, the world around you seems indifferent. That overwhelming sense of powerlessness, when you believe that your actions won't make a difference, can be paralyzing. But what if I told you that this feeling of powerlessness isn't a permanent state? What if it's something you can break free from? Today, we're going to talk about something called learned helplessness, a psychological state where a person feels unable to change or control a negative situation, even when they have the ability to do so. Imagine being in a cycle of inaction, feeling defeated before you even start, unable to see that you possess the tools to break free. This feeling of helplessness is more common than you might think. It's something many people experience at different points in their lives, whether it's in their careers, relationships, or personal goals. It's the feeling of resignation, like a heavy weight on your shoulders, telling you that no matter what you do, it's never enough. But here's the thing. Learned helplessness is not a permanent condition. It's not something you're born with, and it's certainly not something you have to live with forever. Understanding where this feeling comes from and how it affects your life is the first step toward breaking free. So, let's begin by asking ourselves, what is learned helplessness? Where does it come from, and why does it hold us back? Part 2. Learned helplessness, at its core, arises from a series of experiences where a person feels that their actions have no effect on the outcome. Imagine being in a situation where no matter how much effort you put in, the results are always the same. This creates a mental trap, where the mind begins to believe that all efforts will be futile, and that the situation is beyond your control. This idea stems from an experiment in the 1960s by psychologist Martin Seligman, where he demonstrated that animals, when repeatedly exposed to unavoidable stress or discomfort, would stop trying to escape altogether. Even when an escape was possible, the animals had learned helplessness. Their past experiences had conditioned them to believe that they were powerless. And this isn't limited to animals. Humans experience this same phenomenon. If we face repeated failures or setbacks, we begin to internalize a belief that we are helpless to change our circumstances. Think about a time in your life when you tried and tried, but no matter what, things didn't improve. Maybe it was an unfulfilling job, a relationship that wasn't working, or a personal goal that you couldn't seem to reach. Over time, it becomes harder and harder to stay motivated. You begin to tell yourself, what's the point? I can't change this. Nothing I do matters. It's the mental trap of learned helplessness taking hold. So, how do we break free from this cycle? How do we move from feeling stuck to feeling empowered again? The first step is recognizing that learned helplessness is not a truth. It's a belief we've internalized over time. And just like any belief, it can be challenged and changed. But how? Part 3. The first step in overcoming learned helplessness is understanding the power of your own agency, your ability to influence and control outcomes, even in difficult situations. It's important to realize that you do have control over your actions, even if you can't always control the results. One of the most effective ways to regain this sense of agency is by taking small, actionable steps. When we feel overwhelmed by a problem or situation, it's easy to give up before we even start. But here's the thing. Action breeds confidence. Each small step you take towards change, no matter how insignificant it seems, starts to rewire your mind. The more action you take, the more you begin to realize that you do have the ability to create change in your life. Let me illustrate this with a story. Imagine a person who's been stuck in a job they dislike for years. They wake up every morning with a feeling of dread, but they continue going because they feel it's too late to change, or that they have no other options. One day, they decide to take a small step. They update their resume. It's a simple action, but it's one that reintroduces hope into their situation. The next day, they reach out to a mentor for advice. Slowly but surely, this small act of courage begins to grow into something bigger. They apply for jobs, they go to interviews, and eventually, they step into a new career path that excites them. This process doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with that one action, that one decision to break free from inaction and take control. The key to overcoming learned helplessness is reclaiming your power, one small choice at a time. Every choice you make adds to your confidence, proving that you do have the ability to shape your life. So, the question is, what small step can you take today that will begin to shift your mindset from helplessness to empowerment? Part 4. Once you've taken the first steps towards change, it's time to build momentum. Learned helplessness often keeps us from realizing our own potential because we stop trying. But when we take action, we begin to unlock the door to new possibilities. The next phase in breaking free from helplessness is about creating a new identity, one where you see yourself not as a passive recipient of life's circumstances, but as an active participant in shaping your future. This shift in mindset is critical. When you begin to take charge of your actions, you'll start to see that your world is much more malleable than you previously thought. Imagine feeling empowered to make decisions based on your values and goals, rather than feeling controlled by external factors. You no longer wait for things to happen to you. You actively create the life you want. This process also requires patience and self-compassion. It's easy to become frustrated when progress doesn't come quickly. But remember, true change takes time. Embrace the journey and celebrate every small victory along the way. Part 5. As we close, let's reflect on what it truly means to break free from the cycle of learned helplessness. It's about recognizing your power to change, to take action, and to choose a different path. It's about understanding that you are not a passive observer in your life, but an active creator. Remember, you are not stuck. Even if you've been feeling powerless, there is always a way forward. By embracing small actions, seeking feedback, and developing a new mindset, you can gradually break free from the chains of inaction. Start today. Take that first step. Ask yourself, what is the one action I can take today that will start to shift my perspective and break the cycle of helplessness? Your future is in your hands. The journey to empowerment begins with one bold step. Trust in yourself. Trust in your ability to create change, and take that step today.